Larmo22, Larry to the rest of us that know you personally. You've been in the community for quite a long time. I think we started doing homebrew Wednesdays about the same time.
Yeah.
And last couple of years, it's coming up on 2 years. And tell me a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself. Oh, wow. Well, I started homebrewing in 2008, and it was like when I finally got this hobby, it was like the best hobby ever. It took over like pretty much everything. So pretty much everything I do now is, besides work, is beer. But then again, with work, I throw my beer tours in there too, so it actually works out for me.
Some of those videos of you touring these breweries look pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I like, well, especially when I'm on travel. Like last year, for example, I traveled over 100 days. So I was 100 days away from home. So when I do that, it's I need an outlet. So and it's not like I sit in my room and get tore up or anything. I actually go out and I experience the local craft beers, and if I can squeeze in a brewery, that's fantastic. And I like talking to the brewers, because it seems like the smaller craft breweries, or the brewers, are more approachable. It seems like to me. So
Which one is the most memorable?
Well, I like the most memorable. Well, it's kind of hard for me to say. I was at 22 breweries in San Diego in December, so that one I do. Out of the
so
big,
is there like any one beer that sticks out and you say, okay, if this was my last dying day and there was one beer that I could have you had that beer on one of those tours, and which one was it?
I think I'm working on making that beer. So
Spoken like a
I tell you what, I'm really starting to dig barley wines, and it seems like my palate has just changed totally. I used to just like pale ales, golden ales, and just you throw the pale ale in there, and you start getting an appreciation for all the hops that are out there. I can't believe how many hops are out there, and I'm not even going to probably hit 10% of those hops making beer. But my palate is just totally changed, and I appreciate all beers. The only beer that I'm not a big fan of, and they're good. I like pale ales. I like hops. I kind of shy away from Belgians. So.
But it's true what you say about all these different hops, because I mean they're creating new ones almost every day.
I know. It's almost as bad as San Diego. I mean, they were at 78 breweries. They probably have almost 100 now. When I was out there a couple months ago, I mean, I have my go-to hops, and I like to dabble with new hops. But I mean, you can only make so much beer. I mean, I try to make as much as possible. But I give a lot away, and these competitions are great for me experimenting with new hops, and it's just fantastic, and then when I'm buying bulk, I would like to actually to have like a local place where I could, you buy a pound and you get to swap out like a couple ounces here and there, but. Hey, we'll get there, especially with our BrewTubers Club and everything. So,
yeah, but hops are not like an infinite resource either, because there's only so many that are grown every year, and they're all dependent on the climate and that sort of situation.
That's true.
It is pretty volatile.
It seems like every other year we have a hop shortage of one or two of the main guys. It seems like Centennial they just can't make enough of, and I think everyone's trying to. The Bell's Two-Hearted Clone, so I think they're trying to master that one, because that is a good beer. I've never made it because my neighbor makes it all the time.
What can you tell us a little bit about your family life? What's your living situation like?
My living situation. That's pretty funny. Well, I've been married to Tiffany for going on 13 years. Next month is our anniversary. And we have 2 dogs. We have LJ and Brady. They've been in plenty of my videos. They've been in more videos than Tiffany has. So, but they're my brew dogs. They're my buddies. So I take them everywhere. And we've been living in Norfolk. Well, actually, I moved down here after I got out of the Navy, 1990, and got married, divorced, lived by myself for a couple years, and then Tiff and I met up, and we bought this house in Norfolk, Virginia. So it's just her and I, 1,800 square foot. Got a garage, shed, my brew shed.
So you were going to say something about your hobby.
Oh, well, my hobby has kind of overtaken everything. I had a couple friends, and I'm kind of getting into how I started. I had a couple friends that introduced me to homebrewing, and they pretty much said that I surpassed them like a long time ago. Because they brewed like maybe 2-3 batches a year.
When you started, did you start to use extract kits, or did you just go straight into all grain?
I did extract kits for 2 years. When I started, I was happy with extract. Extract, I was making really good beers. I wasn't really designing my beers, but I was making good beer, and I had no really move to go all grain because none of my friends did all grain. It was just me doing extract. And then I got some of my neighbors into doing the extract, and and then this leads into SJ moving down here, or came down here for a beer fest weekend. And SJ came down, and he was interested in it. So we went to beer fest. The next day, we're sitting in the living room, and he's got his iPhone, and he's watching not Homebrew Wednesdays. He was watching videos on how to make beer, and I'm like looking at him like, I'm pretty much hungover. And I was like, you mean we have to go get a batch? So we went to the homebrew store, Homebrew USA, went out there, grabbed a kit. I think we just got a Fat Tire clone kit because that's a good one that they have up there. Brought it home, and the rest is history. I got him hooked into the homebrewing, I think that day. But then, like a year later, he came down for Beer Fest, and he was already on YouTube posting videos, and he says, hey, you have to go all grain. And you know what? When I started homebrewing, I never really got onto YouTube to watch anyone brew. Steve got me into doing the Homebrew Wednesdays, but then he got me into the all grain. So, and then he was pestering me about doing the videos and stuff like that, and here we are.
When it comes to the extract kits that you were doing, where did you learn it from? I mean, who were your influences?
The guys that got me pretty much started was my friend Kyle. I called him up because I knew that he homebrewed. So he came over, and I borrowed some of his equipment, and we made it on the stove. So the extract kit, I think it was a Fat Tire, came out like 5.5%, and I think he came over the next time I made it too. But it's like I made it. I was in the primary for a week. Then I moved it to secondary for 2 weeks. Then I put it in the keg, and then everyone was talking about force carbonating it and shaking it up and everything like that. And I kept on shaking it and shaking it. I couldn't get it to carbonate fast enough, and I pretty much drank it even before it fully carbonated. So it was gone within a week. So, and then after that, I did I was like, I got done with the beer, and I was like, oh my God, I have to wait another month before I drink another homebrew. And I was like, from then on, I pretty much kind of told myself I was never, ever going to run out of beer. Never. So I kept on every 2 weeks. It was like every 2 weeks I would make more beer. And my kegerator had a place for 3 kegs. And I only had a 1-tapper at the time. So I would have one in, one charging, and the other one ready to go in. So I always had 3 kegs going. Now, my wife screwed me up when she bought me the dual tower. So then I started running out at 2 at a time. So then I had to buy the Keezer. I had to buy the Keezer so that I could have more stored in the background. So that's where I am with the with my beer making.
What was available for like reading materials in order for you to like advance into the next level? I mean,
well, I had just I don't know if you ever saw my how I got into homebrewing video, but I had that Charlie. I always jack up his name, the Papazon. I had Charlie's book, and I had that, and I was doing some light reading with that, and I was like, there is no way I'm gonna make a good beer with this. So I bought that like I bet you 10 years ago, because I've been talking about making homebrew forever. My dad actually made some homebrew, and when I was younger, probably early 90s, he was making homebrew, but I never saw him make it. And I drank some of his, and his stuff was pretty high power. I think he added a little bit extra corn sugar in it because it was pretty potent stuff. And so I guess my dad's got a little bit to do with me wanting to homebrew. But I have a little known fact. I think SJ is the only one who knows that my great-grandfather actually had a brewery in Wisconsin, right around Tyler's place, right around Sheboygan, Random Lake, Silver Creek.
Oh.
So, and then,
interesting.
Yeah, so Prohibition kind of shut that stuff down.
Maybe they knew each other. What can you tell me about some of your early on experiences? I mean, did you have any bad experiences, or have you always been lucky?
Well, I consider myself lucky, but I've never had exploding bottles. I've had a couple crack on me, but I think that's because some of these new bottles are not made for. They're just made for one fills, and you just throw them away. So I've had a couple cracks. I haven't had any actually like a whole batch burst on me. But I mean, I mainly keg anyways. And the only stuff that's really coming close to being too overcarbonated is stuff that you put the Cooper tabs in. If you put the Cooper tabs in, I think that's too much sugar for most of them. And then when I first got into it, I think a couple of my batches were a little bit overcarbed. They weren't blowing up on me, but they were a little overcarbed because if you use the sugar packs from like a kit, like a Northern Brewer kit, they give you like 4.5 ounces or 4 ounces or 5 ounces. If you put all that sugar in, it's way too much. You have to really go on and figure out what your volume is supposed to be and figure out how many ounces. I mean, there's a whole bunch of websites that you can just, I type it in my phone and I can figure out how much per, like for an IPA, how much sugar I should have. I always go kind of middle of the road, low end, just because I don't want anything to be a bottle bomb for anyone. So that I've had a couple. We lost air conditioning upstairs at the house a couple times, and I've had a couple that were I think I was trying to keg condition them, and I think it got a little hot, so they were a little off. So I still drank them, but the only time I've ever really dumped a beer was I was ready to keg another one. So I wasn't really screwing it up, but I was ready for it to go. Oh, I did have.
Never dumped a beer.
Well, I did have my Gruit, which I did not like at all. A lot of people like my Gruit. I didn't like my Gruit at all. And I accidentally had it on a picnic tap, and it leaked out. I don't know. Maybe God was intervening with this because
that's a subconscious drop.
yeah, I gotta send one out to Dan ABA because I still got a couple bottles of that. I know he's going to appreciate it. SJ keeps on saying, "Hey, you want to do another one?" And I go, "No, I'm over."
Over the Gruit.
I'm over the Gruit. Sorry, Emilades.
It seems like Emo and Dan and maybe Hockey Player about the only ones that can make it decent.
I mean, people like mine. I didn't like it, so it's just like I was telling someone, it's like, as long as I like it, that's all that really matters. That's a win.
So the Canadian Sasquatch, he threw out the gauntlet for the mead competition.
Yep.
And you're in that now?
I am in that, and I haven't got my honey yet because I'm doing some research. I'm actually thinking about using a buckwheat honey, and I don't know if I want to blend it or if I want to just use 100% buckwheat. I've heard stories about buckwheat, so yeah, I'm going to be in that.
The stories I've heard about buckwheat is like that's the only honey you don't want to use.
I know. That's why I want to do it. You know.
Living on the edge, man. And what's your plan for that? I mean, how are you going to mold it into, the...
I am not sure. I have done my research on it, and I did read that is one of the honeys not to do it, but if you appreciate it, that it would be, it's a good honey to do. So, you know what? I'm going to throw all my cards in, and if I'm going to go in, everyone's going to be tasting it with me. So, yeah, heck yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, I will make this honey, and I'll get a whole bunch of other honeys, or a whole bunch of other meads. Yeah, I think that's good, and everyone will actually taste. Okay, I gotta get on the internet here. Let me order this thing.
Well, wish you the best of luck with that competition, sir.
Yeah.
Now, how about this SJ Board competition? Which mirror are you entering?
You know what? I'm telling everyone I'm doing the black IPA. Well, it was supposed to be the New Zealand IPA, and then Nate came and he tried both, and he said you got to enter the black IPA. So I'm actually thinking that he might have been trying to say don't enter the New Zealand. I don't know. So, but I also have. I'm going to let SJ. Let SJ figure this out for me. I'm going to have the black IPA. I've got the New Zealand in the keg. I can bottle it off the keg, and I also got that double IPA, which was an extract. But if it tastes fantastic, maybe I'll enter that one. That was just like I just winged that one. So the beer for the test of time.
Yeah, the one that you winged that you'll never ever be able to read.
Yeah, I bet you that one's going to be it. I bet you that's going to be the best one.
So how about your brew setup? I mean, are you comfortable with your brew setup, or do you foresee some changes in the future?
As of right now, I am. I'm digging I'm digging my setup just because it's easy. I can pack it. I can take it over to people's houses. Would I like to get a little bit bigger? Sure, but this works for me right now, and I don't want to complicate it because my garage right now is set up for a garage / bar kind of brew house. So I like your setup. I like Paul's setup. I like all the electrical breweries. I mean, they look fantastic. Do I ever think I'll do that? Probably, but probably after I retire. It's just that I think the amount of room I have here, I can't, because I'll have to do like Paul and bring out plumbing. Electrical would be easy, but the plumbing would be the chaotic thing. And but I'm happy with my setup. It works. I get about 75% efficiency. So, and it's fun, and it's kind of like it's like a base model for my friends in the neighborhood, because they always they're talking about going all grain, but they're not there yet, because no offense to people who have kids, they have kids, and they focus on that. So, and professional and everything. So I don't have kids, so I get out here, I brew with whenever someone wants a brew. I was like, okay, I have grain here, I can brew something. So I'm happy with my setup.
How many people would you say that you've actually converted into becoming homebrewers?
Okay, I won't count people that I don't know, because I know I've converted some of those, but I think I'm up to about 8 or 9 of my friends I've converted over to homebrewing. And I think it's because I make it, and I count Steve in there, but he's on another level right now too. So, but it's a social thing. The biggest thing about it is a social thing for me, because I talk about it all the time. Do I drink all the time? Yeah, maybe I do. I drink a lot, but but I like tasting good beer. So, and it's not like I'm a big craft beer geek. I do like trying craft beer, but give me ideas if that's what I want to go with. But normally I like drinking my pale ales. I'm a little bit off the ambers right now. Ambers was my break into the craft beer scene, but I like pale ales. I like double IPAs. I don't like them all, but I like most of them.
And every now and then there's a porter that gets into the pipeline.
That is true. I am actually overloaded right now with stouts. The stout, I've drank too much of them lately. I had like 3 stouts, and I still got I got my chocolate milk stout. I have to write down a little rule that I'm only allowed to brew 1 stout for St. Patty's Day, and that's it. Three was just too much, and I'm still drinking my chocolate milk right now. So
you're happy with your brewing setup?
I'm happy.
But you've been brewing with that one setup for a long time, and those of us that have watched your videos have sort of seen you sort of grow with it too. Over the course of the last 2 years. I mean, there's been temperature gauge problems. There's been malt grinding problems.
Yeah.
We've overcome quite a bit, and then.
Well, I mean, I guess those are our problems. You're saying about it having a bad brew, but I know we were on Uvu when I had that problem with my temperature gauge, but that was the same batch that I kind of tweaked. I think it was the vanilla bourbon porter. Well, actually, it was the porter. I was doing the porter, and then I made it a vanilla porter. I did the vanilla bourbon porter and the vanilla rum porter. So it kind of worked out into more video, because I did the taste test with all the rums, which ones I liked. I think I still have some of those rums over there. So I mean, even though I might not get my right efficiency, my beers still come out pretty good, and I think out of the neighborhood, I take better care of my beers, and it's like for the cleanliness and temperature wise and everything like that. I mean, that's keeping your temperature during fermentation. That's really important, and I know a lot of people just stick it into a room and the temperatures go up and down, and so I think that's one of the main things of keeping a good beer is their fermentation is got to stay at the same temperature. It can't go up and down and stuff like that, because then you get your off flavors. So
It's like John Palmer was saying to vary, right? So number one is sanitation, number two is fermentation temperature, and then there was 3, 4, and 5.
yeah.
But 3, 4, and 5 was also another issue, which kind of leads me into a nice segue to the next question is, have you done any investigations into the quality of your water and the residual alkalinity and the pH, and do you adjust for that?
I do not. And the reason why I don't is, well, for one, I should, because I brew a lot. But our water in the city of Norfolk is actually rated very, very good water. So there's other cities that are close to us that their purification and everything isn't as good. And I keep on telling myself, I'm going to read more about testing my water and everything. But there's guys in my homebrew club that actually have everything tested out around here. So So I'm lazy on that aspect. I haven't, but our water here is really good. So, I mean, I took up when SJ and I made that gruit. I took up like, I think about 20 gallons of water from here up to there, just because he knew that my water down here is really good also. So, but should I do it? Okay. Yes, I should do it, but I don't do it.
Where did you grow up? Because you seem like sort of a good old boy, and not necessarily a Norfolk boy.
I grew up in Pennsylvania. I grew up in the River Hills. I think River Hills right along Susquehanna River. Woo-hoo. So
is that the I'll tell you what country?
Oh yeah, it is. So yeah, it's I grew up there. We grew up, lived on a 14-acre farm, not like my dad farmed, but we had the barn, and we had deer, rabbits, squirrels. So lived on a dirt road, and my dad would make wine. My mom would make jelly, jam, stuff like that. You know, so we kind of lived off the land. But it was, you know, I grew up, it was backwoods, kind of, sort of. I mean, SJ actually lived in the city compared to me.
So do you miss it? I mean, do you ever think about retiring and going back there? Or?
Nope. No, I mean, I like it up there, but yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm a city guy. Because I'm kind of I guess redneckish for here, but how should I say it? I like it here, and I would stay here because everything is local. I've got a good little beer scene. I've got my little small house, got my garage, everything's close, don't have to drive too far, and I can get SJ down here every year, so that's good. And I go up there like once or twice a year too, so I get my fill of Pennsylvania. So
now, how old were you when you guys first met? I've seen some pictures of you guys on Facebook, and you were teenagers.
Yeah, that's a funny story, actually. Steve had this friend.
How did you two meet?
Steve had this friend where he didn't like me. So he was making fun of me or something like that. And then there was a fight out back of the high school. So Steve decided that he was going to be my friend then. I think that's how he started being my friend. And then we've been inseparable since.
That makes no sense whatsoever.
I know. But see, Steve in high school only weighed 138 pounds. Now that's hard to believe
I saw
too.
The pictures where you were like twice as tall as him.
And he's over 6 foot tall.
So okay, how tall are you?
I am 6'7". If you saw the video with Nate here, that is a short dude there. Sorry, Nate. But I'm freakishly tall also. So you could never believe that I was stationed on submarines.
No, that's brings me to the other point where it's like, how is it that all these tall people actually get put on the submarines?
I don't
Is it
know.
all tall people, or is it?
There was a guy taller than me on my boat, if you can believe that. It's crazy.
How many years were you in the Navy?
I did 6 years. I did schooling for about 2 years, and then I got stationed on my sub, which is out of San Diego, and I was on there for 4 years, 4.5 years, something like that. So, and then I came. That was in San Diego, and then I got out, came back the East Coast, got a job down here, and I still work on subs. So it's pretty cool.
What are your next brews? Because you have this regular schedule, you've got this regular pipeline. Are there brews out there that you haven't done yet that you really want to do, and are they in their foreseeable future? And if they are, what are they?
Yeah. I know I've got my barley wine I got to do. That one's going to be a year down the road. One of my pipelines that I do is the mead. So I've got to do that for Canadian Sasquatch Brewery. I got to do that for that challenge, but that's another year. So those are just going to be put away. And I know I want to formulate a golden ale recipe for the summer. Of course, I got to get another IPA going. I'm almost out of my vanilla bourbon porter, so I've got like maybe 8 of those left. So I've got right there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I have to do my limeade lemonade concoction.
Beers that you've always wanted to brew that you haven't got around to brewing yet.
The beers that I've always wanted to brew, I don't know. I brew a lot, so whenever I get some cockamamie idea of a frickin' brew in my head, I always just do it. The black IPA, I've been wanting to do that one for a long time, and I'm getting that one out. I got that one out this year. I want to do the Arrogant Bastard, the recipes that you and I kind of conjured together, and I think it was Jay Elder. I want to do that. I call me a geek or whatever, but when I was down in Kings Bay, Georgia, I was drinking. I was down there for like about 2 months, so like every week I would be drinking a bottle of Arrogant Bastard. So I saved all the bottles. So when I do, what I do is I make the beer and then I put it in the same bottle. So it's kind of like I'm drinking the Arrogant Bastard.
That's nice. That'd be really cool.
So so whenever a beer comes up, if I have it in my head, I'm gonna make it. There is one I want to do. I want to do my Party Guile again, but that will be like a 3-gallon batch of barley wine, and I'll get a 5-gallon ESB or a pale ale. So I do want to do that. I'll probably do that this summer. So
what about techniques like hop oils?
Hop oils. I know that I've actually heard a rumor that I heard Stone was using them, but I don't know if that's true or not. I'm good with the pellets. Yeah, they're just make it easy. I don't know. I've never even thought about doing the oil. Now you got me thinking, because I always like trying new stuff.
Paul's got that challenge out there. You got to taste a little bit of it before you use it now.
Okay. Now, my friend actually had some the other day, but he pressed out almost all of it, so I didn't get any of it. So I was actually going to do that. I mean, I still consider myself somewhat a redneck, but...
Speaking of redneck, let's talk about these red labels you got on your beer bottles. I mean, what's up with that, sir?
Well, the thing about it was, Steve always told me, he goes, hey, when you send out a bottle of beer, you should put electrical tape on the top and on the side, and then just so that it doesn't pop and you don't have any leakers. I was like, oh, okay, so I decided to do that, and then I needed to do a label, and for some odd reason, I laziness or whatever, I just don't do the labels. My wife actually told me that I need to do the labels, and I said, if you are so dead set that I have to have labels, I'll let you design the labels. She didn't do it, so here I am. I have to mark the beer something. So and I had a couple. Remember those old not compact flash, the floppy disks, where you had the old floppy 1.44 meg floppy disk. Well, they had those labels that you would actually put on and you mark it whatever you needed. Well, I threw a couple of those on a bottle here and there, and then I was trying to get the dang label off, and it was like I was scraping it off. I just ended up throwing the dang bottle away because some of these labels out there are terrible. So I started doing the electrical tape because it comes off easy. So, and you get to reuse the bottle. I mean, I know that I got a couple bottles last year from the challenge where they had a nice little label on it, and the label, I couldn't get it off, so I just said, screw it, it's not worth fighting. So that's my thing with the electrical tape. Steve told me that it's good for the caps, and I was like, you know what, it works great for just using a Sharpie and writing it down what it is. I mean, and then when Steve asked me to send one of my beers, the Harry, I was like, okay. So, and I didn't have any bottles left, so I ended up I had it on keg still, so I ended up putting it into like one of my PET bottles, put it in there, and then put the label on. And the carbonation sucked a little bit, but it still had a little bit of carbonation, and I took it off the keg. I don't have a beer gun yet. Supposedly the end thing right now is to get the beer gun, so, and it looks like it's pretty easy to operate too, so.
'Tis the season to buy a beer gun, la 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 la.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a beer gun.
I know my wife, I always buy this stuff, and then she's like, what am I going to buy you? So I try to give her ideas.
Beer gun, honey. Beer gun.
Yeah, she bought me a couple beer kits. It's like beer in a bag kits. This was right when we first got married, and my mother-in-law got me a couple refills. I just wasn't ready at that time to start brewing, I guess. That's the only thing I can say. It was just like when I first decided that I was going to actually homebrew, well, I had the kegerator, and we had a party out here, and I mean we went through like a keg like one a month, so it wasn't too bad because we have a pretty social neighborhood, and I bought a keg of beer, and we had a going away party for a friend of mine at work, and we went through that whole keg that night, and there was people intoxicated everywhere, and my wife was a little upset at me and said I can't have any more work parties, and I had to totally agree with her because it was bad. That night was pretty bad. I think she was the only sober person here. And then I ended up saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to turn my kegerator into just a refrigerator and just have bottled beer because it was just out of control. So I decided that was the time I decided to start homebrewing. I went down to my homebrew store. They sold me my whole setup for like $200, and I had my keg, had everything I needed, and since 2008, I have only bought a total of 3 commercial kegs. That's it. 3 commercial. Everything else has been what I've made.
So let me get this straight. So you had a party where your wife promised that you would never do that again,
No,
and that motivated you to brew more.
No, the party was, I had a commercial beer. I had a keg of Killian's on tap. Sorry about that. So I had a keg of Killian's on tap. And so I decided to make the kegerator into a hobby. So, because I hadn't brewed before that. So sorry about that. That was kind of, we were on a roll there.
Well, Larry, you started me off on my homebrew adventures. Your Columbus Pale Ale was one of the, or a rendition of it, was the first brew I did on my electric system. And then followed up with New Zealand IPA. And so you're definitely one of the heavyweight contenders within the home brewing community that I definitely look up to as a mentor and a friend, and something that I really look forward to watching videos every single week. Videos, or weeks that you don't make videos, I feel a little bit let down. And the weeks that you do make videos, and they're only 5 minutes long, I feel let down. So just to sort of communicate that you have a great sort of karma about you, where you're very friendly, you're very open, you're very honest, and a lot of that comes through on your videos. And just want to say, on behalf of everyone else in the community, thank you very much for all of your Homebrew Wednesday videos and contributions, advice, experience. It's invaluable. Thank you.
No problem. Hey, I really think that this whole community with the homebrew is fantastic. I mean, I have friends everywhere. I was at work today telling someone about it, and she was like flabbergasted, like, "Wow, that is really big time." And I was like, "Yeah." I was told her about our competition and everything. And I was like, we're swapping beers with our friends. It is, and the homebrew, you get to see your friends every week, and this BrewTuber series that you're doing is opening up everyone's eyes, because you're seeing everyone's what they've gone through and everything like that. You're doing a fantastic job, Tony. This is a fantastic idea. I know you're hitting the hubs right now, but wait till you start hitting these other guys. I mean, you're gonna have Zippy. You're gonna be doing it's gonna be Jonah. I can't wait to see freaking more stuff on Jonah. That guy is hilarious. Chubby. I mean, it seems like I already know Chubby because he's wide open also. But everyone is just fantastic. This community is. I talk with you guys more than I do with, well, okay, that might be a little bit sad, but I talk with you guys. I look forward to the videos every week. So it's fantastic. We talk about beer. We see what happens. Anthony Rapino, he had a bad brew day one day where he dropped his pumpkin beer. I was crying for him because it was such a good video. Everyone's putting out great videos also, and it's just a great community. I love it. It's great. Thank you very much.